that every single son and daughter of Adam alayhi salam will be tested. And the Prophet ﷺ went so far as to say that the most tested amongst all of humanity are the prophets of Allah, and then those who follow the prophets of Allah with their knowledge, and so forth. So the idea of being tested, the Prophet ﷺ, he completely dispels this notion that when God puts a difficulty in your life in the form of a test, that it's a sign of punishment or consequence. No, the Prophet ﷺ taught us that the idea that a test exists is in fact it has function. And that to prove to you that it has function, the Prophet of God, who is the most beloved to God, is saying that I'm the most tested. I'm the one that receives the most moments of confusion and difficulty out of everybody. So if Allah wanted to show displeasure, why would test be the language that He used? Number two is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Allah, when He talks about the creation of the human being, He says that the human being was created in a status of work, in a status of hard work, toil. That it's not going to be easy. You know, the reality is that there are some days where things might be easier than other days, but the reality is that every day has its own fair share of challenges. And Allah tells us this in the Quran. So when these moments happen to us and we look up at the sky, to the heavens, and we say, Ya Allah, why me? Why me? The reality is Allah Ta'ala's response is already before the question, that this is the design of this dunya. Allah Ta'ala in the Quran, He says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. Allah Ta'ala tells the reader of the Quran, the believer and the non-believer alike, that we will test you. There are going to be tests in your life with a certain amount of fear, that there are anxieties about what? About what's happening in the world around us, about the future. Many people, a lot of their anxieties come from the idea of the unknown. What's going to happen next year? Will I have this job or not? Am I going to, is this application going to go through or not? Where will I be living? That's a form of a test. And then Allah Ta'ala continues, وَالْجُوعِ. And a person will also feel the fear of their hunger, right? The fact that not everything's going to be comfortable all the time. وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ. And there will be loss of wealth. Look at the stock market. And there will be loss of life. وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. And provision and fruits. All of these things will go one after another. You will experience all of these. But then Allah Ta'ala finishes the verse very beautifully when He says, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. And good news, glad tidings. You've won. To who? As-sabirin. Those people who have sabr. What does sabr mean? Many of the scholars define sabr very beautifully. We say the word patience. That's not the definition of sabr. Because patience in and of itself is like an internal state, right? But patience is something, sabr is something that should be displayed. That a person has the ability to persevere despite being put in the test. If it starts raining outside right now, are we just going to not go to our cars and not go home or not go back to work? No. We have to persevere. We have to have sabr, right? If a person is patient, then they'll sit and they'll wait for the rain to stop and then they'll go. But the one who has perseverance, who truly has true sabr, that person will get up, they will walk to their car, they'll grab an umbrella or whatever they can, and they're going to keep going about their day. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is praising those people who amidst all difficulties can still look to the optimism of hoping in Allah and keep going and keep moving. And who better to describe this experience? Who better to live this experience and to show us how to emulate it than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He was somebody that no matter what difficulty happened in his life, he still found a way to keep going. Whether it was being boycotted and almost starved to death with his companions, whether it was the assassination attempts on his life, whether it was the constant rejection from tribe after tribe, people after people. I mean, we complain about 10 minutes, 13 minutes of difficulty. The Prophet ﷺ went through over a decade of rejection from his own people. And never once did he look to say, oh Allah, I'm done. Oh Allah, I give up. Oh Allah, this isn't fair. Why does Abu Jahl have more than me? Why does Abu Lahab have more than me? Why do these guys have more than me? Akhnas bin Shur. Why do they have more than me? The Prophet ﷺ never ever let his heart turn in that direction. He dealt with it beautifully. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues and finishes the verse. He describes who are the sabirin. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ. Those people that when they are hit with a calamity, which is again showing us it's not a matter of if, but when. Those people that when they experience a difficulty, when they get into the car accident, when they get the diagnosis of illness, when they lose their job, when something bad happens to them from all the list that Allah described and more, قَالُوا إِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ.